Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, a man sells his house to fund a skate park aiming to help keep youngsters off the streets. As we prepare for tomorrow's general election, we look back at some of the highlights of local campaigns. And can tractor driving be a bit of a drag? No, I'll be asking Andrew Jacklin from the Grainthorpe Tractor Road Run. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Richards. First of all, it's over to Emma Lingard for the news headlines.
Hello. Celebrity investment has brightened the future of children's reading in Woodhull Spa. The book fair received a grant of £2,000 from the thriller and children's author James Patterson, which came from a pool worth £500,000. The shop will be spending the money on improving children's reading by buying new books and putting on workshops to encourage reading. Catherine Fairs, the owner, is said to have been recognised by James Patterson was an honour.
He put out, I think it's about £500,000 now, in the US and in the United Kingdom, in each country. And we were lucky enough to receive a grant of £2,000. Oh, I think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I tweeted him my thanks, and he then retweeted me. So I think there's about 620,000 people who've actually seen my name on Twitter now. So I'm quite pleased.
A Driffield man has praised his leisure centre for helping turn his life around. Chris Rowley spent months in hospital after suffering a heart attack and stroke at the age of 41. 8 years later, following rigorous exercise, his health and mental well-being have now improved. It's part of East Riding of Yorkshire Council's exercise referral scheme. The pods in Scunthorpe will be closed temporarily due to the local and parliamentary elections. They'll close from 8 p.m. on Thursday and reopen on Friday at 12. Cleethorpes will join more than 200 beacon locations around the UK to mark the 70th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day on Friday. It'll be lit by the Mayor of North East Lincolnshire. And finally, if you want to try your hand working on a farm for a day, then keep this Saturday free. East Hull Community Farm are hosting an open day to allow members of the public to see behind the scenes. The fully working farm is usually open to school groups and adults with learning disabilities, but this weekend will give the rest of the community the chance to meet Dougie the donkey, Jessie the cow and the rest of the animals.
It's the environment that they love. They get a chance to do all sorts of different work, collecting eggs, feeding the animals, looking after the lambs when they're just born, as well as doing some educational stuff and some life skills training as well. So the whole range of what we offer people on the farm is great, and the people, our students that come along really enjoy it.
And that's all for now. Goodbye.
A father has sold his home to fund a new skate park on the edge of Beverley. Tony Thurston has opened Taser indoor skate park with a cafe, a dining area and table football. It aims to be a one-stop shop for youngsters. Erica Barker has more.
Ramps, skateboards and bikes, but the family-run Taser Indoor Skate Park in Beverley wouldn't have been able to open its doors if it wasn't for volunteers rallying together to build it free of charge. But to get it up and running, the owner sold his house and moved into rented accommodation, ploughing around £70,000 into the business, hoping to provide somewhere safe for the kids to go.
The young people of the area have got nothing. They've got the leisure centre, they've got a few bits and pieces, but effectively they're very limited as to what they can do. So many people with skateboards, scooters, BMXs, inline skates, everything, and there's loads of people who do this, loads of young people who do this, and they've got nowhere they can go. When they go to the outside unstaffed skate parks, and there are quite a lot, they're just that, they're unstaffed, they're unsupervised, there's nobody there looking out for maybe the weaker, more vulnerable children. There's nobody looking out for them.
And it certainly seems to be popular.
It's just fantastic, the atmosphere. It's like one of the best skate parks I've been to. It's just, the best thing about the skate park is the atmosphere. It's just great. Everyone can get along perfectly.
There's a lot of kids who I've seen coming here, who I've seen just walking about, not doing much, kind of messing around on the streets, and then they come in here and seem to have a good time.
I've seen young children come here and older kids who are older than me coming in. Everyone's having a good time and they're safe.
And as Tony says, he may not have a house, but he has a skate park, which seems to be making a difference in the lives of youngsters. Erica Barker, Estuary TV.
You're watching Estuary TV News. A little later, we'll be hearing and defining another word of local dialect in What You Say, and Dan Kemp will bring you all the sports news. Tractor driving is not a sport that gets the coverage it deserves. This month, vintage tractors will drive across the Midlands from Newark to Cleethorpes, where there will be a tractor rally, all to raise money for Lincolnshire and Nottinghamshire Air Ambulance, amongst other things. Andrew Jacklin is behind the wheel and with me now. Andrew, thank you very much for coming in.
Good afternoon.
When I said vintage tractors, there'll be a certain amount of vintage tractors, a certain amount of vintage tractor drivers as well.
Yes. We do range from the young to the old.
Now, some of you, the fitter of you, will be embarking on an epic triathlon on this journey from Newark to Cleethorpes. Will you just tell me what's going to be going on?
Yeah, the triathlon consists of a 3-day event over 3 counties, doing 3 different things with tractors.
So day one?
Day one, we're leaving John Deere's at Langer in Nottinghamshire, and we're physically pulling a tractor all the way from Langer to Newark, 10 of us.
So you're not pulling a tractor with another tractor, you can have a rope over your shoulder and you're going to be heaving this.
Yes, 10 of us is going to manually pull it in harnesses and push it from the back as well.
You won't be tempted to have somebody in the driving seat just keeping the motor going?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to physically do the challenge.
That's heavy. A tractor is many, many tons, isn't it?
Yes, correct. Yeah. We're all a little concerned about it, but we're training heavily every Monday and a Friday night.
What happens if you trip up when you're halfway up a hill?
Well, we hope that won't happen.
Okay. Day two.
Day two, we're riding our bikes, again led by a tractor, from Newark to Epworth, 32 miles. So we're not looking forward to that too much either, because I guess we'll be pretty tired from day one.
I think you will be, yeah. And your muscles are going to be absolutely killing you.
Yes, but on day 3, we're driving our tractors from Epworth across into South Yorkshire and back across the Humber Bridge and into Yorkshire, our 3 counties.
Lincolnshire, yeah.
So we will be sat down a little bit on day 3, although that's not a walk in the park, because it is just over 60 miles.
So the tractor drag is 16 miles, the bicycle ride 32, and the tractor ride itself, as it were, that's 60 miles. You're covering a lot of territory.
We're covering a lot of territory, yeah. So and we still look forward to getting into Cleethorpes to join our existing road run on the Sunday morning.
Now, we've all been driving through the countryside and we all admire farmers, but there will be quite a large and long stream of traffic behind you, swearing quietly under their breaths at bloody tractor drivers blocking up the roads.
We'll keep mainly off the main roads on our challenge from Langer to Newark, and again on our push bike ride, but there will only be 10 of us. It won't be until it's the Sunday morning that we join the 12th tractor road run, where there will be hopefully up to 100 tractors.
So tell me about that, the meeting in Cleethorpes. That's going to be a fantastic occasion.
It's the 12th annual road run. All the people that normally come on the tractor road run will meet on Cleethorpes seafront. It'll be an epic sight. We shall trundle into Cleethorpes, the 10 of us that's done the 3-day challenge, on the Sunday morning to join them, and then we shall all rally off from Cleethorpes together back to Grainthorpe for our hog roast lunch.
Okay, that sounds delicious. We'll talk a little bit more about the nature of tractors and why they're so lovely. Don't go away, come back in a minute, Andrew.
Thank you.
In Yorkshire and Lincolnshire, we've all heard people use the word falal, but what on earth does it mean? Here's what you say.
Falal. F-A-L-L-A-L.
Yeah, I haven't got a clue. If my husband would be here, he would be furious.
No, it sounds like a waffle.
Oh, no.
Pass. Spanish. Sounds like what you're talking.
I'm sorry.
I've never heard these.
Andrew Jacklin is still with me. Andrew, you'll get your tractors, you'll get on Sunday the 31st of May, you'll all be there on Cleethorpes front. What will be going on? What can people come and see?
It gives an opportunity for a lot of people that maybe don't see tractors to come and have a look at the tractors on the seafront and enjoy the view at Cleethorpes, to meet up with all our tractor drivers, and our tractor drivers get the opportunity to show other people the tractors. they get an opportunity to have a ride out and park the tractors in areas maybe which they don't normally do. It's usually in a field. And then when we're all there and everybody's seen us, about 11 o'clock, we'll rally off away from Cleethorpes, down the new sea defence wall and through Grimsby Docks.
Brilliant.
And back through the countryside, back to Grainthorpe.
And that's where you've got a big feast planned.
Yes, we've got a big feast planned. We always meet there and put the tractors in a big circle, and anybody is very, very welcome to come and see us and join us.
Well, just get the details of this. How can people get involved and how can people contribute? Because these are important charities that you're talking about. What are the contacts?
The whole thing is about bringing tractor drivers together and having a very enjoyable day. And on the back of it, we want to try and raise some money for people less fortunate than ourselves. And this year, the charity, in conjunction with Grainthorpe Village Association, we're raising money for Lincolnshire and Notts Air Ambulance. So we will have some donation buckets on Cleethorpes Seafront. There will be an opportunity to sponsor any of us. Get hold of me or my telephone number.
Well, you better publicise your telephone number in that
my
case.
Telephone number, I'm Andrew Jacklin, and my telephone number is 07711 65 92 98.
Well remembered. And people can get in touch via Facebook as well.
People get in touch by Facebook as well, yes.
What's your page called? The Grainthorpe?
Grainthorpe Village Association.
Okay.
But we'll be pleased to see anybody at Cleethorpes and again at Grainthorpe Plainfields.
Now, this isn't the first time you've had this sort of event, is it?
No, this is year 12. And from the onset, we always said that we would do something different to keep everybody interested every year.
And you've raised, how much money did you raise last time round?
We raised £16,000 last year.
That's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
What is it about tractors that's so fascinating?
I think once you're interested in tractors, and some of us have been interested in tractors since we got out of our prams.
Well, mostly you farmers. I suspect some of us who weren't brought up with them find them a bit stranger.
We use them to make our living, and we still enjoy them at a weekend as well. And many of the old stagers like the older tractors, and it's a good chance to remember and reminisce about the good old days.
Okay, let's just recap on the details there. The triathlon starting on the 28th of May, that's a Thursday, 3-day event triathlon culminating in Cleethorpes on the morning of the
31st of May.
31st of May.
Yes.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming in and good luck with that event.
And we look forward to seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye for now.
Tomorrow we go to the polls in what is a very exciting and uncertain election. Weeks of campaigning and media coverage will continue until the very last minute at 10 p.m. tomorrow when the polls close. In our area, one seat in particular has been the focus of national media attention, so Dave Nunn has been examining the campaigns for Great Grimsby.
It's one day to polling day when Britain is expected to produce another hung parliament. Political parties have been working hard to sway voters in marginal seats, and one place frequented by politicians is Grimsby, due to its small majority in outgoing MP Austin Mitchell. And we'll look at how the campaign's been faring there. UKIP's Nigel Farage visited the town to support candidate Victoria Ayling and to talk about the EU and how fishing quotas have affected the town's port, and proposed a UK-controlled fishing zone, even if there were a few protesters when he arrived at the town hall. The following day, the local Conservative campaign was launched, with senior Tory David Davis relaying the Conservatives' economic message, and was full of praise for candidate Mark Jones.
We have got an incredibly good candidate in Mark Jones. I'm standing here holding a book that he wrote about Grimsby. He's a man who cares about Grimsby. It's the only seat he's ever applied for. There are other safe seats around here he could have applied for. He didn't. He applied for Grimsby, and it's because he cares about Grimsby.
Labour have received lots of celebrity support for their campaign, and comedian Eddie Izzard came to lend his support to Melanie On's campaign and talked up Labour's plans for the NHS.
People in UKIP, if they vote for UKIP, they are more Tory than the Tories. They're not going to look after the NHS. We're going to put in 20,000 more nurses, 8,000 more GPs, 5,000 more care workers. That's what we're doing. It's a safe thing. The NHS is safer in our hands. And if you do vote for UKIP, well, probably David Cameron will get in, and then that's going to do nothing for the NHS.
However, with the outcome looking uncertain, all the power lies with the voters, and we've been talking to voters around our area about their key concerns, starting off with what would sway them to vote for a particular party.
I think we've got to get the economy right still, and it's progressing.
There's not a lot in the current economic crisis that they can do, because Europe's had it.
The trust element is the problem with the
politicians, no one trusts them and no one believes a word they say, tell you the truth.
And we asked them whether parties' manifestos really mattered.
They all promise you everything till they get in, then they take it all off you. That's what I've noticed anyway.
They don't put their own point forward, they just try and say what all the other parties aren't doing.
I think so. I hope so.
We asked whether celebrity endorsements for parties were the right thing.
It could be. No, I don't really think they should use celebrities, actually.
I don't think so, no.
Why not?
Well, I think it's just they trying to make themselves look big and that. No?
Yeah, it's a free country. They can do what they want. I'm not particularly interested in too many celebrities.
With all polls predicting an uncertain future, we'll have to wait until Friday morning to see if all the campaigning and all the media attention will help sway the public's mind and give all parties in this area their target seats in what most people believe has been the most exciting election for years.
And the candidates standing in Grimsby are Victoria Ayling for UKIP, Steve Besant for the Liberal Democrats, Melanie On for Labour, Mark Jones for the Conservatives and Fallow Flynn for the Trade Union and Socialist Coalition, Vicky Dunn for the Greens and Gary Calder as an independent. And to discuss that campaign, amongst others, I'm joined by Richard Morris. Richard.
Hello.
Celebrity endorsement has been quite a significant part of these campaigns.
Yes, and of course we saw in Dave's report just there we've had Eddie Izzard visit for Labour. We've had of course the superstar of politics that is Nigel Farage visiting for UKIP. We've had a number of different celebrity endorsements in this campaign, and indeed something which I did just before we went to air is I've been looking at a little bit of the celebrity endorsements that have been received by all of the major parties. We've had for the Liberal Democrats, we've had Hugh Grant and John Cleese. For the Conservatives, we've had Gary Barlow, Simon Cowell, Andrew Lloyd Webber and Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City. For the Greens, we've had Vivienne Westwood, Peter Tatchell, Jack Monroe, all of these sort of very famous, very sort of, people with interesting sort of sway in these kinds of matters.
Right, it's interesting that Michael Bloomberg, it's flattering that Michael Bloomberg, a former mayor of New York, is interested in politics in our region. How much is a terribly fine chap he is, but one can't deny the fact that he's a foreigner. How much weight does a foreigner have coming and telling us how to vote?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I suppose if you're an American, if you're now sort of a naturalised citizen in the UK, you may
I don't
well.
think he is a naturalised citizen.
No, I know, but I mean, if you were a naturalised citizen in the UK and you were American, you might think, well, actually, this guy is from my neck of the woods. Maybe I might, I mean, there'll be some Americans who might see that and think, okay, maybe I want to go with that. Also, a lot of people, do quite like America. I know you're not a fan.
No, I am. I'm extremely fond of America.
All right, okay.
I'm a great admirer of America. But why is it then that celebrities in general, the sort of showbiz people who are very good at telling jokes, should have any authority to help us think about how we're going to vote?
Well, of course, this is one of these questions which has been bandied about since the 60s. I mean, I believe one of the sort of first major sets of celebrities really to endorse any kind of major political party were actually the Beatles back in the 60s, and they supported Labour. And I think it's been one of these things since then that celebrities have kind of almost felt the need to say, oh, well, actually, I'm going to be voting for this party. And the polls do suggest, generally, it can help by sort of roughly up to about 2% in my reading of the matter, particularly in the last weeks of an election campaign. Now, of course, I didn't actually get to the Labour list when I was reading reading to you.
Go ahead.
We've had Eddie Izzard, we've had Russell Brand, but he's also endorsed Green in Brighton and the SNP in Scotland. J.K. Rowling.
Can't make up his mind.
He can't make up his mind at all. We've had J.K. Rowling, Martin Freeman, David Tennant, Delia Smith. Ronnie O'Sullivan, Joe Brand and Steve Coogan have all come out of this election in the past sort of couple of weeks and have all said that they really want to support Labour.
And the political philosophical analysis of a snooker player is invaluable in these things.
Well, it is actually quite significant because Ronnie O'Sullivan has apparently never been involved in politics before. Apparently, he's said that this is the first election that. Yeah, well, exactly.
Okay.
And of course, we went through the Greens, and of course UKIP they've had major support from Richard Desmond, who gave them £1.3 million.
Richard Desmond, the famous pornographer.
Indeed, and also owner of the Daily Express, and also Paul Sykes, who is a businessman and philanthropist, apparently.
Very well. What other aspects of the campaigns have taken your eye?
Well, obviously, we've also now had all of the newspapers coming out and saying, well, we like this party, we don't like this party. Of course, it's mostly been what you'd expect. The Guardian and the Mirror have come out and said that they like Labour. Telegraph, Times, Mail, the Financial Times, they've all said that, you should go out and vote Tory. What has, of course, been interesting was this move from the Daily Express, the owner owner Richard Desmond, who we were just talking about,
indeed,
has now moved to UKIP, and this has been a huge. It's interesting. It's been a huge change in that respect. The Independent have kind of refused to endorse a specific party this time around. They've said that they've run comment pieces from their different commenters saying you should vote this, you should vote this, but they've actually said 60% of the electorate want a different voting system, and that's the big thing at this election, rather than the parties.
So the Independent being resolutely independent there,
indeed,
and perfectly
indeed.
Unrealistic. Yeah. Richard, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be examining the results in our region in a special live show on Friday morning from 6 to 8. And I'll have a panel of guests including Dr. Andrew Defty of Lincoln University Politics Department, Dave Laister of the Grimsby and Scunthorpe Telegraphs, the constitutional expert Lord Norton of Louth, and Austin Mitchell, who was for 38 years an MP until his retirement at this election. Now, here's Dan Kemp with all the sports news.
Hull Kingston Rovers have named Jordan Cox in their 19-man squad for the weekend clash with Wakefield for the first time this campaign. He's returned from a month's loan at the Huddersfield Giants, whilst Sean Lunt is set to miss out through injury. Josh Manteletto and Terry Campesi are both also included in the squad, as is recent addition Dane Tills. Across the city, Mark Minicello believes the possible return of captain Gareth Ellis will be a huge boost to the Black and Whites. They, as with KR, sit outside the top 8. In boxing, Grimsby's Nathan French beat Wiltshire's Liam Richards on Saturday night. French picked up the win by 40 points to 37 over 4 rounds. At the bout at the Doncaster Dome made it 4 victories in a row for the local fighter. North Ferriby United's Greg Anderson has become the second player to leave the club. The centre-half will return to former club Clitheroe for next season and joins Nathan Jarman in exiting the Villagers. The club have been placed up for sale by owners Stephen Eman Forster, and all players have been told they're free to find new clubs. In cricket, in the Yorkshire Premier League, Driffield moved up to second position as they beat Rotherham by 6 wickets on Bank Holiday Monday. Elsewhere, Cleethorpes made 208 for 9 against Appleby Frodingham on Saturday, who could only reply with 164 all out, as Alex Osmond returned figures of 5 for 56. They were beaten soundly by league leaders Barnsley 2 days later, who made 267 for 8 before bowling out Clee for just 92. And a Chris Gray century couldn't help Hull avoid defeat in their only fixture, losing by 7 wickets to the Yorkshire Academy. Get in touch if you've got any sports stories you want to share with us. You can call 01472315553, search for us on Facebook or Twitter, or email sport@estuary.tv.
Thanks very much, Dan. Don't forget, General Election Day tomorrow. Vote early, but only one each, please. Although there are local elections as well as general elections. We'll be covering those results 6 to 8 o'clock on Friday morning. If you've a story for us, please go to our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details are on the screen. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 3155553. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. A much improved day compared to Wednesday this Thursday, with plenty of pleasant sunny spells, increasing light winds and very isolated showers, with even these showers dying away later at a maximum temperature of 13 degrees. Friday mostly fine, although perhaps cloudier than Thursday, wet and windy conditions probably moving eastwards.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.